Hello there and welcome to another one of my day in the life of an IT guy type videos. The last one was about Wi-Fi improvements we did for a customer. You should check that one out. This is quite interesting because we had an exchange a few days ago with a new customer who had just told her previous IT service provider that she's switching to us, and they had politely informed her, a form of, I imagine, polite bad-mouthing. They issued her a subtle warning saying how expensive we are compared to how cheap they were. It was quite amusing how spectacularly this had backfired because she had already checked our rates and thought we were reasonable. And that's because our rates are market related and they compare quite favorably on a, if you want to compare exact costs per hour, they compare really well to one of the largest mobile geek franchises out there in New Zealand. They're more volume than us, but whatever they're doing appears to be working, and their customers don't seem to think they overpriced either. Otherwise, they wouldn't be such a prominent feature in the IT mobile tech workspace. So we're certainly not expensive. We just don't market our business to undercut everyone else to get business. We are not bottom feeders. We want to grow and establish ourselves. To do so, we wish to be able to hire the most talented IT consultants and mobile techs we can to service our clients. It's not our intention for our consulting business to become like a high volume business. We wish to become a big company, but with enough time for giving that personal touch. And that's not just sales talk. It's the way I've done my previous business that I owned for 25 years. It's the way I feel and the way I maintain success. High volume, unsustainably low rates means consultants and techies have to work excessive hours, and this results in burnout, low morale, and a very high staff turnover. That's not my business model. It's not our business model as IT near you. At one company I used to work for, I used to work over 12 hours a day sometimes 16 hours a day, and heck, sometimes even right through the night I had to check on the system. It was just crazy. So I thought it would be a good idea to explain the difference between cheap, good value, and expensive using some practical analogies and anecdotes, real-world experiences. So let's say, like me, you bought an iPhone 11 3 years ago. There it is, all right? Or you also at the same time bought flagship Android. Now, these were priced, the Android was less expensive. It's a Galaxy Note 9. I paid about $1,000 for it. And the iPhone, I paid about $1,300 or $1,350 or something like that. Like 35% more expensive for the Apple. At the time, people would argue the Apple phone was more expensive. However, 2 years later, this no longer receives major software updates. It receives the odd security update, the Android phone, but it does not, and this is Samsung, it's a pretty good brand. Yet the iPhone runs the latest version of OS, fully supported, no problems. Not only that, if I'd bought a phone that was 6 years old, the iPhone 6S or the SE, to this day, it's still supported. So yes, you may pay more for the phone in the beginning, but is it expensive if it outlasts the other product? No, of course not. It's good value. It's not expensive. Another example, you could have, I was looking around the yard today, those little plastic hose fittings that become brittle and break in the in the sun if you use them outside too much. You normally leave your hose pipe coiled up outside. And one of those plastic attachments lasts maybe 3 years, and it costs about $5. A brass attachment lasts pretty much forever, except for some minor maintenance. You've got to replace the O-rings, costs about double that. But you compare something that lasts 3 years versus something that lasts your lifetime with minor maintenance, you pretty much have something for life. Is it expensive, being double the price, or is it good value? Now we come to labor. I'll use a recent example. There was this customer who called me because they were concerned about something. Customer experienced a senior IT technician, all right, coming to fix a driver display issue. And they looked at the rate. It was only, I think it was like $120. It was actually more an hour, but let's say for argument's sake, $120 an hour, right? Took this senior IT technician. Now, I'm not sure if they were handing out titles that day. Everyone can get a title. That's why Elon Musk doesn't use them. or if the senior was referring to his age, because this guy took 2.5 hours to fix a driver display problem. That's $300, all right, for something that a real senior experienced IT technician would probably take 15 to 45 minutes. So even if the senior guy was charging $160 an hour, you'd still get better value because it's less expensive by doing it with a more experienced person. So yes, you could be cheaper, but you can also, by being cheaper, be more expensive. And there's nothing more expensive than a cheap IT service provider. It's something to ponder, right? So if your IT company's main trump card is, we're the cheapest, we're the most affordable, remember, cheap IT support is generally expensive IT support. We don't pay peanuts. We don't intend to pay peanuts going forward. We don't want monkeys working for us. We don't want to burn out our technicians. We don't want high staff turnover. We're not expensive. Our business model is to be reasonable, sustainable, so we can employ talented, experienced staff, keep the staff morale up by not working them to death, and build in redundancies. Hence, it's sustainable because we're charging a fair and reasonable rate. Not only that, our business is, compared to many other IT companies, is correctly managed. We do quality assurance, not just only on jobs, but accounts and all processes inside, and we try and improve where we can. We're based on a quid pro quo philosophy. What this means is, if we see a job is taking longer than it should, all right, compared to other jobs, we're open to discussion, and we will assume some liability and absorb some of the cost with you. We're not fixed to billing per minute blindly without any discussion over the matter. We know that in life, sometimes things take a tick longer than normal. Sometimes there's a power failure. Sometimes a guy just spends an excessive amount time on site, and we've got to, unfortunately, we want to keep the customer. So we'll negotiate a fair, sharing situation of the labor so that the outcome is fair for everybody. That's the way we do things. We trust our staff. We trust their feedback. We tell our technicians and our consultants to let us know if they think they've billed too much for a job due to some unforeseen chain of events, or maybe they were a bit green on that particular thing that they were looking at. Even experienced people, sometimes you can't know everything. No one can know everything. So they might think to themselves, in fairness, I could have probably charged a bit less for this job. That is what a proper managed and an IT company with a quid pro quo mentality does. All right. So we will gladly review situations, and if we do overstep our time, and if we think it's reasonable, we will meet you somewhere in the middle, and we will share the time liabilities and absorb some of the costs. Obviously, it doesn't happen that often, but we're open to it. So if you want a fair, well-managed, experienced IT support company offering great experience and good value, please call us on 0800 42 0042. We're IT near you. You can visit us on our website. And like this other franchise, which is quite successful, mobile franchise, we're not expensive. We're obviously just doing something right, and we'd like to stick around and be sustainable and help you for a long, long time. So give us a call. That's IT near you. You know where we are.